Good evening. I'm building up a number of written journals, getting kind of behind here. So here's the oldest one. This is back from 427, and it was on an Ascension Day. The Mayan day was 13 wind. Interesting title on Not Trusting Joy. Why would that be? You know, I'm curious. I'm clueless. I've totally forgotten what's in here. All right. This is an interesting time. There's something that within that seems to be coming alive again. I don't know if it's new or something revived, still too close to it to tell. Then, too, it's the case that we're not generally as good at being able to see the self as we are at seeing others, so who knows. I enjoyed the experiment of the last 3 videos trying to recapture a special pondering or meditation experience. I hesitate to call it meditation since that word tends to conjure up something different than my meaning of it. For those in heart, this is less of an issue since they ride on the waves of my consciousness, freely shared here. For those in mind, though, well, it's probably best not to worry with them, since there's really nothing I can do to help mind understand. In the midst of all of this, I am not rejoicing, saying, "Phew, glad that's over, and glad that I'm feeling better again." That would be mind, for one thing. When we follow mind's lead that way, we set ourselves up for the fall. What fall? Remember balance, that ideal state. For every 3D high, there is a 3D low, the balance of the pendulum swing. The clock wouldn't keep time were it not so. So what can we do, I hear some say. How are we to know what feeling or state to trust and how best to handle them? Okay, let's look. From heart, of course. When anchored or stationed in heart with at least a part of our attention, we can be watching most fruitfully. Watching from mind is pretty well useless. It may turn things up, but then it will want to run in and fix them. Not recommended. As we exercise heart vision, then, we will be shown. There's a difference between the divine attributes, which I capitalize, such as joy, love, peace, and the like, and their human components, which are mere limitations, likely conjured by mind. Human love, it just doesn't come anywhere near what divine love is. This lesson of remembrance is vital. As we experience the divine attributes, we're reminded of who and what we are. They give us the touch, the taste of home. Whereas the human imitation feelings just set us up for their polar opposites, for they're not complete in themselves as the divine ones are. But even beyond that wonderful taste of home, capital H, the divine attributes have no opposite. You may stay in peace or joy as long as you like without incurring any need to balance anything out. I'll tell you that for mind, these objects cannot be told apart. Since mind cannot fully enter into the divine experience from the inside, mind cannot know. And it needs to be right all the time, so it will pretend to know. It's up to you to tell the difference. So, separate out from the mind. What I'm doing then is just watching all that's flowing through without making any decisions on anything. Rather relaxing. One of the toughest lessons to teach the mind, for mind does need to learn, though you don't, is that it is not necessary to always know. Mind is thrown off balance when told it doesn't need to know something. Knowing is mind's business. At least that's what it thinks. Getting it to back off and let go can be tricky. Mind doesn't easily give up. Yet, not knowing is a wonderful state to be in. There is such a freedom in it that it's wonderful to feel. Most of us don't yet know much about being free, truly free. We're so used to being locked up and tied down in endless machinations of mind and of mind's programming. We didn't consciously do this to ourselves, so don't let there be any guilt or self-blame. That doesn't help. Naturally, this not knowing state isn't possible to experience when anchored in mind. One has to drop down into heart and quietly settle in. When you reach the point where thoughts fly by like the headlines on an internet news channel, and you don't click to open even one of them, you are set. You're in heart. There will be times when mind is quiet completely, but don't look for them nor count on them. Let them instead be a gift. This is a level of mastery that's most helpful for everyday living, where often a part of our awareness must be within mind. Over time, if we persist in heart living, we will be shown how mind is quite capable of doing much on its own that we thought we needed to sort out or supervise, to be present for. But we learn that we don't. We're not needed. Mind is both more capable and more self-sufficient than most of us realize so far. Though I don't know how to explain it, heart has the abilities of mind. Heart can think. Did you know that your body's physical heart produces neurotransmitters? Brain chemicals, or so we thought. There's excellent science and research on this. HeartMath is a good place to start, where they do the science that blends heart with consciousness. Of course, heart's mode of thought is quite different than that of mind. I call it pondering. It manages to do or accomplish the same thing through very different ways. So just keep watching those thought clouds or headings go by without following or clicking on anything. Let heart show you how it works. And don't assume you know anything, for you don't. That's an important line. Let's go back and read it again. Don't assume you know anything, for you don't. Let's be like Socrates. He said he was the smartest man on earth because he knew one thing more than everyone else knew. And when they pressed him what it was, he said he didn't know anything, and he was aware of that. Some go to heart only when they're in trouble of some sort. They're looking for relief, and that's understandable. Heart eventually shows us, though, how it's best to be stationed there all the time. Even when we're feeling just great, it's still best to watch. Don't trust the lows, but don't trust the highs either. Does that make any sense? It won't to mind, but from heart, it can come clear. Why not trust the highs, the good feelings? Simply because they could be products of mind, maybe even manipulation of some kind. Unless you're content to forever ride the teeter-totter or the roller coaster of the ups and downs, just keep watch. Sure, the 3D self will be having whatever good feeling it is. I'm not saying to squelch that. just to observe. Do you see? This is to disidentify a bit more from the dream, the matrix, the illusion. Just don't dive into it so deeply. Don't get lost. And no, it doesn't take the joy out of life either. Mind's joy is a counterfeit experience next to heart's joy. And true joy is always present in heart. Always, no exceptions. It is there for you at any time. When the body is running the chemicals it produces during an experience we perceive as negative, it may be too hard to come into that joy. Nonetheless, it is there all the time. After getting some grounding in being in heart, you'll notice that there's an aura, a whole atmosphere of divine peace pervading there. It soothes the soul, producing such a level of contentment that mind is unable to mimic. It is into this divine peace that your questions seem to just melt away. This is powerful peace. Thus, there is no need to ever settle for mind's imitation feelings or experiences. One thing about mind is that it rides on the outside of life. It doesn't present things from the inside, but from the outside instead. It will tell you about something, unable to give you the experience of really being that thing, whatever it is. Whereas within heart, you have direct experience of the real deal. It won't be long then before the contrast present between the two, the counterfeit and the real, simply shows itself to you often enough that it clicks. Suddenly you just get it. Or perhaps it creeps up on you so quietly that it takes a while to notice. I've experienced both ways. Heart is a virtuoso with these things. It's a joy just to exist, since there's such a thing as our heart. And I put thing in quotes. I mean, words don't do it here. Now, it's no thing, of course, but finding words for this is simply too challenging for reaching people in mind. That's why I had to step back a good bit when I was first journaling online. I knew that pretty much everyone was pretty much always trapped within mind. I used to be. I knew, too, that only the light beings would be drawn to what I had to say. So I had to come up with the compassion to reach out to them there within mind. And it was a challenge. Back then, I just couldn't write or speak like this. It wouldn't be truly heard. Now, mind always thinks it hears everything, and it thinks it understands too, even though it doesn't about 99% of the time when it comes to heart speak, which, though it uses the same words as mind speak, yet in a very different way. The meaning is so very different from what mind thinks it is that it's often not worth the worry to try to help people escape. Thus, only those truly searching, the true hearts bent on awakening, would pursue this walk with me. That I knew. But it is so very wonderful now, having come such a long way, both you and me, that I can really and truly go with the flow again. Now, I could always be wrong about this. It could be that I have completely let go and trusted to the flow even early on. I don't know, since I went the way I did. I guess it doesn't really matter, though. The point is, the gates are wide open now, and I'm being far more natural than I felt able to be early on. I know what a challenge it was for me coming out of mind and into heart. The creative ways mind finds not to lose control are varied and many, and I admit to being taken in again and again until I finally learned simply to never trust mind. It was at that point that my growth took a big spurt. Suddenly, it seems as if I got it somehow, and things went better after that. And this isn't to say that I don't slip off into mind. I'm not perfect, folks. I'm, 3D, see? Okay, this is just one layer or level of trust that we've got to pull back from. Unlike the sheeple who still believe in the news, God bless them, we know there is much to distrust. What happens as we're awakening, though, is that our eyes become open to the massive levels and layers of control and manipulation all around, which are founded and laced through with nothing but lies. And it's devastating. It seems that no matter what it is that we trusted, it's eventually seen to be a part of the whole system, which is cancerous to the core. We end up having to pull all reliance on anything out of whatever it is. It's a tough part of the road to walk, becoming self-reliant and taking our power back from the many places where we vested it during our sleeple stage. The bottom line is this simply hurts. There's so much pain to go through that some people get stuck there, and that's sad. If they only knew that just a little way up ahead on that road they would break through into real truth, the kind found or contacted within heart. Yet there's plenty of manipulation around, but not much guidance on this awakening walk that we take. Now that's changing these days. Source is working through more and more of us, waking us up just that bit more than the rest so others can take strength and support from us. We're all in this together. The higher truth being that we're simply one, and no one is better than another in any way. To think that one is partakes of duality and separation, which are not real to the higher frequencies as they are in 3D. They just seem real here. The mind has to learn, whereas the being we are simply has to recall. Yet, until we step out of or back from the mind, we can't do that. Can't even see the distinction. Again and again, we slip back into mind's control, unintentionally, but just due to the heavy program we've been fed. It's okay, my friends. Love yourself through this. Be gentle with you. Let no word of criticism find a home in your awareness. That's all. Usher them out quickly and be at peace. Good day.